Yay, we're live. Hey, hello everybody. This is Geek Gasm special. That's right. You don't adjust your time. Don't look at your watch in confusion. This is a special because apparently Lola's taking over the network. Um, she gets
just like me.
Yeah, she gets more shows than what's necessary. No, I'm just kidding. So tonight we got special guest. We got Roller Man. We're gonna talk to him about his new properties. We're gonna talk about Cat and Mouse. There's one right over his shoulder. Mr. Roland Man, a man invades Geek Gasm. That's what we're gonna have. We're gonna have that as the banner when I get around to making it later on. So that's what I'll say. You guys hang tight. We're gonna hit the intro and get right into it. Hang tight. Here we go. Hello, everybody. Hello. It is I, Varian Grant. I'm co-publisher of Last Call Comics, founder of Indie Vote Media, LLC. Started making comics way back in 2008. First book I ever created was a black and white interior action comedy. I didn't draw it, but I did create it called Psycho Sirens. I am a father, husband, geek, creator, publisher, an artist, sensitivity reader, reluctant taxpayer, shamefully not in that order.
And
Sometimes annoying. Not annoying, and you are watching Geek Gasm on Indie Vote. I'm joined by Lola, who actually has words to say today. She has words.
I do have words.
Okay.
Hey guys, how are you?
Speak up.
Need to turn that mic on.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. Turn your mic on. I haven't heard.
I got it on now.
Okay.
Hey guys, it's me, Lola. I am the co-publisher of Last Call Comics, and I am the host of Geek Gasm.
Today I'm doing.
You're just mad. You're jealous.
That's true. Randy,
Yes,
who are you?
I'm Randy. Randy Zim. Randy Zimmerman. Hey, I've been doing comics for years and years and years. Alternative comics, independent comics, every aspect of comics except mainstream comics. Even retailed and distributed a little bit. For the last decade, I've been doing a newspaper called Flint Comics and Entertainment that we circulated here around the Flint, Michigan, Genesee County area, where I moved 10,000 copies per issue, printed 100 issues, ran monthly. It was advertiser supported, and I thought I had a copy here, but my workstation right now is pretty cluttered. Other than that, I do the Zim Geek channel here on YouTube, and I'm here on Geek Gasm, and I do Indie Vote. There's a copy of Flint Comics right there, number 100.
Cool.
So, and we have a special guest tonight, Mr. Roland Man.
Hi, everybody.
Roland, introduce yourself.
Yep, I am Roland Mann. I am a writer, professor, editor, husband, father. I'm stealing from Varian now. Got started in comics in the late '80s. We were talking a little bit about that before we started. I think the Turtles for their boom. But started working in independent comics in the late 80s. Went on to become a Malibu comics editor, which is kind of where a lot of people know or remember me from. Worked on the Genesis line of comics, which was Dinosaurs for Hire, Protectors, X-Mutants, that kind of thing. And then...
That's all a foreign language to Varian there.
You know, I heard you say something on another stream. I was watching you guys, and I heard you say something about that. But something about he doesn't know comics before like a certain year because he just doesn't know.
Well, he's that young. That's what it is.
I got you. Okay, all right, yeah.
Dinosaurs for Hire, Protectors, all of that great stuff that Malibu used to do. He never had that chance to see it. His entire comic history starts, I think, at Fathom #1.
Oh my goodness gracious! So I actually
I'm even worse. So
yeah, Lola's even newer than that. She's even younger. So yeah.
Lola's new 52.
Wow, new 52. Goodness. Yeah.
I didn't know anything about comics until I met Varian.
Good for Varian.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, always got to spread the word. Yeah.
Yep.
So you're talking about Fathom. I actually did a miniseries for Kamiko. I did the Vortex miniseries. It wasn't finished, and they never finished publishing it. But Elementals by the great Bill Willingham had some spinoffs there towards the very end of its life.
I had no idea.
Yeah,
No.
and here's the weird thing, dude. You got to get to the cheap boxes because you can find all kinds of really great independent comics from that era in the cheap boxes.
I keep telling him I'm going to go through and clean out my basement and pull a couple of long boxes aside, have him up, and introduce him to things like Troll Lords and Fish Police and all the early stuff that was done, all the great black and white stuff that was done back in the 80s.
Oh yeah,
You never hear about that stuff anymore.
No, and it's a shame because a lot of that stuff is really good,
Yep.
And like I said, I really do. I'm not a Turtles fan. Again, I'm not a Turtles hater, but I'm not a Turtles fan. But I give credit to those guys because they were on the very early part of the black and white boom. And if I hadn't been for the Turtles and then all the other black and white books, I might not have gotten this, my start in comics the way I did. So.
Even before Turtles, there was a whole bunch of black and white material out that was just incredible.
Yeah,
it was a crazy creative time.
I got an indie book back there called was it Major Mogul?
You're muted now.
Yeah,
oh, am I?
He couldn't.
Yeah.
Major Mogul.
Yeah, Major Mogul. I got an indie book back there. It's black and white. It's an older book, but I did like it. I was looking at it the other day.
Hey, Boris the Bear.
He didn't know who Boris the Bear was. Yeah,
Time traveling thieves.
Yep.
There's a lot of
Southern Knights.
really good stuff. Southern Knights. Oh man, yeah.
When Justice Machine was in that group.
Larry Patrick Higgins says, I tried to go on the show yesterday, but either Randy was gatekeeping me or too much of a boomer to figure out how to send out a link.
No, I'm sorry, Larry. I didn't even see you up there until after we were off the air. Rob's going, how come you didn't let Larry in? So I that was this morning. I'm sorry, Larry. I deeply apologize. It wasn't intentional.
That guy Roland has a great shirt. He's
it's that advocate shirt.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then Dave brings us hello, everyone. Hello, Dave.
So Dave.
And he says, I got some Troll Lord.
That might not be the same Troll Lords.
That's what I'm thinking.
You might know a few Troll Lords now with social media. It's not the same. Really. Not the same.
No.
I do want to do a little bit of housekeeping though before we start. So everyone, if you watched Breakfast, what?
If you watch the train wreck that was this morning's show, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, if you watch the train without my leadership, I was kidding. I understand it was very professional. I didn't get one strike yet, so I had to leave early because I had to go to the doctor's office. I've been having some medical issues lately, and today I went to the back to the doctor, and they were able to confirm, much like November 2018, I once again have MRSA. So it's in the left leg this time, and not just that. It's also I have a wound right below my belly that also was MRSA that they didn't tell me about from February. They didn't tell me about. I had no idea.
You will forgive me for asking, but I don't know what MRSA is.
It is an infection of.
It starts off as staph.
Yeah, it starts off as staph, and then
treated, it goes to MRSA.
Yeah, and it's an opportunistic infection. Basically, apparently we all have MRSA on our skin anyway. I have another condition called hydrogenous suppurativa, where I get these wounds anyway. So the MRSA is like, sweet, let me get in there and make things even worse for them. So you guys may see a little less of me on the network and some guest hosts, which might be great for some people. There, J. Quick, speaking of trolls, yeah, because there's the main troll right there. Danny J. Quick.
Danny's a troll.
The biggest troll I know. He's not creative Ace Blade. I actually got some books from Danny down here. They're over here in my to read collection. Somehow I had to keep slipping that to the bottom. I keep, I was gonna read them. Then I got a copy of New Warriors, and I said, New Warriors are Danny's book. I gotta read this New Warriors. I do have this book.
The Further Adventures of Snowflake and Safe Space. New Warriors.
That New Warriors book is gonna be awesome. I'm still ordered 500 copies.
And he's getting trolled to death too.
Yeah, but I do
troll lording. Yeah,
I will be reading and reviewing Ace Blade harshly.
Harshly. Danny
harshly.
Duck.
Harshly, Danny. It's coming. I do think Danny has a really cool last name though. Quick. That's
Quick,
I feel like
Yeah. He needs to name his son Johnny, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
That could be his middle initial. His initial's J.
Yeah,
So it's Danny
yeah.
J. Quick. So
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know,
is your middle name John, Danny?
True story.
It's shit.
I tried to convince my wife to to name our son Bat, and she's like, "No, we are not naming our son Batman." I'm like,
Yeah.
No, you don't understand. How cool would it be if he's in the 7th grade, and over the loudspeaker comes, "Mrs. Johnson, will you please send Batman to the office?" And my son gets up and goes to the office. I'm like, that would be cool.
It would have been cool. My friend, whose name was Walker, one name is he said, "I don't care. I'm gonna get a girl."
Jatori.
Jatori, okay.
Yeah.
Jatori. Yeah. Does he? But he said he wants to name his son Blade because his last name is Walker. He wants to name his son Blade Walker. And I'm like,
yeah.
Okay, all right. I mean,
when I was in high school, we actually had somebody who had the last name of Dorr and the first name of Matt.
Oh, no way.
Oh yeah, he took a lot for it too.
Oh no.
There was an Asian gentleman who worked at General Motors. His name was So Why. I kid you not, So Why.
So why?
Yeah. Terrence Hull says, first of all, they could have come up with better characters. He's speaking about
New Warriors.
New Warriors. Yeah.
Warriors, yeah.
Well,
He says,
Has to be speaking about
yes
New
and no.
Warriors.
he says, but that would have been cool having
Yeah.
Johnny. Yeah. And Eric says, "What's up? I got an hour until Battle of the Erics." Yeah, he's on a drawn and quarter fan edition tonight. It's a Battle of the Erics night over. They got a bunch of Erics. So you guys may see a little bit less of me on Indie Vote podcast until I get this situated and figure out what's going on with me. Other than that,
thankfully, podcasting isn't really physically demanding.
no.
So hopefully, we'll see more of you, or the same amount of you at least.
You may see me. You may see like an icon, so I can lay wherever I'm at and
Lay on your back, yeah.
lay on my back and complain because I don't want you guys to see me in bed like this.
Just no upskirt shots.
And they would only come for Lola's upskirt shots. They don't come for mine. Ew. It's doing upskirt tonight, girls. This is Danny says, have any of y'all read the new Far Sector series yet? No. I'll have to. I've been reading so much stuff lately. It's stories are starting to blend. I'm wondering like why Bass Reeves hasn't shown up in X-Men to save the day yet. That's how the stuff is. I read too many books lately.
But isn't that great though? Because I've caught myself reading a lot more comics in the last few months than I've read in the last few years.
Yeah. And creating more too. Roland has returned from the 90s with Cat and Mouse. What about my speed? Because I mean, look, my first trade, and my dad didn't know any better, was The Killing Joke. And I must have been like, I don't know, maybe 8.
Wow.
7 or 8, and I'm like, can I have this, Dad? Yeah, go ahead. And I'm like,
this is Batman.
Yeah, no. This stuff is dark. I didn't know at the time, but I'm like, I can imagine me just having a moment where I'm reading this story. My little brain is like, okay, well, how do we handle this trauma? Yeah,
it's funny. I know that's a whole different other topic, but that's one of the things that one of my big issues with Marvel and DC today is this idea of branding. And I've talked with some of my friends over at DC. I know more people at DC today than I do at Marvel. And I've talked to a couple of my buddies in high positions over there. They're like, "Yeah, no, that's not what we're thinking." I'm like, "Yeah, I know, and you're wrong."
Mm-hmm. I see. You still have friends over there? Ew, I'm just kidding.
Well, it's funny because so the staff at DC today, many of them were on staff at Marvel in the 90s. So when Marvel bought Malibu, I became a Marvel editor, by purchase. And many of the people who are on staff at Marvel are actually on staff at DC today. So I know I do still know a few people at Marvel, but I know back issues dating back to the 90s. Excellent. You got to go back onto the 80s just a little bit too. But yeah,
don't be afraid to go farther back. They don't bite.
That's right. Yeah, and they're generally pretty cheap. That's the cool thing about them is you can really find some pretty good runs. I don't know if I've been trying to pick up Grimjack. I've got a stack of my Grimjacks over there I'm trying to complete, and I'm buying all of them out of the the quarter, the 50 cents, the dollar boxes.
Yeah, I bought a collection of the New Warriors number 1 through 50 off of Trico.
The original number 1.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I bought those off of Trico. So it was
What is the series I got?
What series that you have? Oh, she bought Dazzler.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, she basically took them from me.
That's kind of an underappreciated series.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was buying them. She put the money down, like, oh, I'll get these. I'm like, oh, thanks, sweetheart. And she said, oh, these are mine. You don't understand.
Well, that's another series. You can find a good many of those in the cheap boxes.
Yeah.
I buy them for my daughter.
I would advise maybe not going back too far.
No, you don't know.
With Dazzler,
you haven't gone back there.
No. The reason why is because I was on Twitter earlier, early morning yesterday, and I seen
that's part of your problem, right?
Oh yeah, really? that was a major problem. I was on Twitter.
You're on Twitter. Yep.
There was a young lady, and she was quite upset because, she had read through some old Spirit books and had found Ebony White, and oh boy, was she upset. So remember, the further you go back, you may find some things that are going to.
Well, you just have to put everything in historical context.
You got to put it in perspective.
Yeah. Especially if she had done a little research, she'd have seen there have been a lot of discussion about Ebony and his treatment. Nowadays, you would look back on it and be racist, but Eisner probably wouldn't remotely portray that character like that either.
And she was calling for Eisner's. She was calling for Eisner's cancellation, and the man has been canceled already by God.
Well, sorry.
He's already passed on. I mean, she wanted him wiped from the books.
And again, like we keep saying on this program, people need to go out and get an education and understand the context of where that character was from. He was actually one of the best written African American characters of the day, if not the best written and best portrayed, best evenly portrayed. And you go back to other books at the same time, you're getting the old slappy burlesque clown type character.
Yeah.
Constantly. Yeah. The fried chicken eating, watermelon eating, old style stereotype. And you didn't see that with Ebony a lot. Ebony had his own job. He was constantly out there working. He was constantly hustling. And his, if I remember right, his vernacular even improved the farther along the series went.
Yeah. Ami says, I read comic books all the time, more so recently, though, and The Killing Joke is awesome. I've heard someone say The Killing Joke is actually a horrible story, but I forget who that was. Terrence Hall says, most of which are part of the martial arts rebirth of the late 80s and early 90s. And Ami says, we've met before, Roland. You're awesome, dude.
I was going to say, I remember Ami.
Mm-hmm.
What's up?
And Terrence says, check your shops, 50 cent and $1 bins.
Oh,
as soon as they open back up, as soon as they open. I would also advise people to check out
except for independent comics, the new independent comics, the cheap boxes is mostly where I do my buying today. I don't know if I haven't been watching any long enough to know if this is blasphemy or not, but I really don't buy Marvel or DC comics and have it for a decade or more than a decade, really.
Roland, I don't think
very safe in that neighborhood.
Yeah, I was going to say, Roland, I don't think there's any opinion that you could give that would be blasphemy.
Okay, I should let me add an asterisk to that. I will still buy classics, Silver Age, Bronze Age, stuff from the 70s, stuff from the 80s. Mm-hmm. But there's nothing that Marvel or DC has done in the last 15, 20 years that remotely interests me. And if you're a fan of that stuff, more power to you. But it's not for me. There's a lot of really good stuff in the independent market, and that's where I choose to spend my dollars.
Yeah.
And as you can see, I spend quite a few of them.
Yeah. Roland, I want to get into your history a bit, but
Sure.
Eric joined us. Eric,
Hi,
introduce
Eric.
yourself.
Hello. What's up?
Introduce yourself.
Oh, my name is Eric Hudson. I'm the creator of Dreaded Dinosaur Man, illustrator of the Rowdy Roddy Piper Kilted Avenger graphic novel coming soon. I'm about finished drawing it. And yeah, lots of big, cool things. I'm popular for my wrestling art. I can spin a good yarn with some anime. And yeah, I've echo Roland sentiments there. I haven't bought a Marvel comic or a DC comic in a long time. And it's mostly all independent stuff and Silver Age.
So you probably know my friend John Crowther.
I do know John, yeah.
Yeah, very cool.
Terrence says blasphemy is telling someone to buy the latest Marvel and DC title.
There you go.
Terrence is
Yeah.
not wrong.
I was going to say, I would have to agree with that.
Yeah. Ami says, I'm doing good. I'm writing a book. I'll PM you about it later.
Sweet, very cool. I can't remember where I met you though. That is the problem with a little bit of the color of the beard here, but also because I've done so many shows, I'm like, where did I know your name, but I don't remember where I met you.
You're wearing a Rob Anderson shirt, so he might have introduced us.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I consider Rob one of my best friends. So
Oh, cool.
He's the Rob is the Kevin Bacon of comics.
yeah.
Oh, you know that asshole too?
Yeah.
What part of Florida are you from, Roland?
I'm in the Orlando area. I live in
Florida.
I live in Oviedo,
Okay.
and I teach at Full Sail University, which is an entertainment university.
Oh
sorry.
yeah. I got one of their brochures.
Oh man, don't ever click their like button. Don't ever send them an email. Don't ever call them. If you do, they will every single day. They were like, hey, you were interested enough to click that little button. We're going to call you until you are enrolled in a program somehow, some way.
You know, a buddy of mine went to Full Sail years
Oh,
ago,
yeah?
early 2000, and he told me he was in the animation.
Okay,
He
yeah.
wanted because they didn't have any at this point in 2000. They didn't have any hurtful.
Rob says hurtful.
we said his name. He showed up.
You say it 3 times, he'll come on the air.
Yeah. He said they didn't have any traditional illustration programs in 2000, and he said so. He went for animation and video game design, but he told me that someone from Disney had told them, "Hey, Jason, how's it going?" He said
See you on
that
board, Jason.
they said that someone at Disney said you can always tell the demo reels from a Full Sail student.
Really?
There was a certain style that they use, and you could always tell. So you had all these students trying to figure out what was the Full Sail tale.
Right, yeah.
Demo reels.
Full Sail's got a backlot that that students can use, and it's actually really very cool. It's right there on campus, and so it's attached to the buildings. It's on the back of the buildings that house classrooms. So I teach in that building frequently. I just don't get out to the backlot very often because I'm not in the film program. But it's actually really very cool back there. I'm like, wow, this is cool. It's a backlot. And students are always back there filming.
I remember they said they spent a lot of money in the design of that, and I like that. They spent a lot of money on the design of the school because they don't feel that you can be creative in a white box.
No,
So they spent a lot of money on the design. Me and Erica thought about giving up our families and moving to Dover to go to the Kubert school.
Oh yeah,
we want to be in there.
If they had like a week or 2 long summer program, gosh, I would so be there. That would be.
They have some online stuff now.
Yeah, everybody's got something online, but there's not. It's like Stan Lee with his boobs comment about comics. If you learn art, you just kind of need to be in a room somewhere with someone teaching you.
You just want to look over and say, that guy can't draw. That's what it is.
I've got a question for Roland because he also teaches at art school. I used to teach at my alma mater, College for Creative Studies, for a little bit.
I'm up
in Detroit.
Is that out in California?
No, just Detroit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're the school that competes with Cal Arts for the international design programs.
Oh, cool.
Like for industrial design and car design and all that. Yeah.
Well, cool.
They're the big competitor. But yeah, we're not as fancy and anything like that. But I had never seen Art School Confidential until recently. Have you seen that movie?
No, I have not.
Okay,
Art
you
School Confidential?
gotta watch this movie.
Yeah, Art School
Okay.
Confidential.
Varian swears by it.
Yeah. I've been telling Eric about it for some time, and he finally got a chance to watch it. And it's funny, he watches it and they do it on Amazon. Now it's on Amazon Prime. It's weird. It's for free.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I'll get to watch it for free then. Yeah.
Yeah, watch it
Cool.
for free. And if you ever get to teach in a classroom again, have your students watch it. Oh my gosh, it's just
Watch it first.
Yeah.
you'll definitely see some butthurt out of the fine arts students if they watch it.
I teach comics, which may or may not be obvious, but I teach comics, which I love my class. So I don't really show a whole lot of moving picture stuff. But I do show them Dr. Horrible because and from my perspective, it's the perfect story that hits all the plot points that a comic book should work to emulate.
Yeah, I can see that definitely.
Yeah, I mean, you know what I preach in my class that if I don't know why I'm reading your book, I don't care, and so I need to know who the protagonist is and what the protagonist wants. And in the first 60 seconds of Dr. Horrible, he clearly tells you, here's who I am, right? And here is what my goal is. And so when you watch the rest, it's only 45 minutes, right? So you watch the rest of that show, you know what he is attempting to do. And it's perfect because everything lines up. And I'm not I don't worship at the school of Josh Whedon, but that is very much the perfect comic book kind of story.
Roland, you worked in Malibu for quite a while.
Yes.
Now you were there when they got bought up by Marvel as well.
Right.
Okay. So take me back to like working at Malibu, which when I was a kid, I thought was a weird. I was like, did Marvel change their M? Why does it look different?
And could you include what happened to X Mutants? Can we ever get that back?
Yeah. Let's talk about that.
I loved that title.
So you mean what happened to it as far as in the story, or what happened to it as far as like legally?
Where is it legally? Yeah.
Marvel owns it.
Does it?
Yeah. We'll never see that again.
They bought it to bury it, didn't they?
Well, you know what? No, that's not why they bought it. But I think that's what their intentions are now. I don't think they have any. So here's I'll try to make this as short as possible. So many people think that Marvel bought Malibu for the coloring department, which is the furthest thing from the truth. Okay, Marvel bought Malibu to keep it away from DC, because that's the bottom line. Is because
that's such a me thing.
Well,
it's
pretty much it's a corporate thing, and if you can realize it has nothing to do with comics but everything to do with business, it makes more sense. Because here's what had happened. So DC had been courting Malibu for about 6 months. Okay, I'm talking. They were doing due diligence. They were examining the books. They were in the offices. They were they were sneaky looking around, and they were doing their due diligence before purchasing. They had every intention to purchase Malibu. Thank you. I love the Black September stuff too. And so, but what happened is about 2 weeks before the deal was about to become final, Marvel heard it. Marvel said, "Oh crap!" And at the time, Malibu was the number 3 or number 4 company, depending on what Dark Horse put out that month. Right? If they put out an Aliens Predator book, we were number 4. If they didn't put out an Aliens Predator book, we were number 3. Right? And so Marvel got wind of it, and they're like, "Oh no, that can't happen, because if you had taken Malibu's share of the market with DC's share of the market, that would have put DC above Marvel." And they're like, "Nope, no way." And literally, now I wasn't part of this, but I kind of have it from good sources. Marvel came out and said, "What's DC offering you? We're going to offer you twice that." And so Malibu was like, "Holy crap! Okay, sold." And and again, it's not because they wanted our characters. It's not because they wanted our coloring department. It was a corporate move, because you got to remember, Marvel had just gone public. Okay, so they were a publicly traded corporation, and now what Marvel could do is go back to their stockholders, right? Go, "Look, stockholders, we're growing the company. See, we just purchased this and we purchased this, and they were doing a lot of buying in that part of time. So they were going to their stockholders saying, see how great we are. We're growing the company. And really, that's what it was all about.
So they bought those characters. How long did they try to use them? Because they tried to put out some books, didn't they?
Yeah, the plans were for us to continue to run. You know, I mean, obviously we were part of it. We had a market share, so they didn't have the intentions to come in and kill the market share, right? Because it's going to go somewhere, and if you kill that, there's no guarantee it would go to them. So yeah, the plans were to come on a run, and in fact, some of the suits and ties. Part of why, if you remember the Ultraverse, we had right after Marvel bought us, we had some Marvel characters appearing. And part of what they wanted to do, they wanted to say, okay, we've got this new thing, you know, Malibu's this new toy. So why don't you take some of our C tier characters and you guys put the Malibu spin on these C tier characters. Now, if you remember that we got Black Knight. Black Knight appeared in the Ultra Force. We got Juggernaut. Juggernaut was in the Exiles, which was a book that I edited. We got Loki. Loki came in and was a villain for a while. But who we didn't get, but who we also got Adam Warlock. But who we didn't get, but was on the table, and we were kind of excited about was Thor and Submariner. Those were you got to remember in the 90s, those were not popular characters. Right. They were struggling, and so those were C tier characters that they were going to let us put the Malibu spin on, and it just never happened because we just ran out of time.
I imagine that Iron Man would have been on the table too at some point. And he was.
I don't remember Iron Man being in any discussions, but it's possible that he was. I don't remember it, and it might not have been because we had Prototype, which was Iron Man-ish, and so I don't know that was ever on the table. I'm not saying it wasn't. I'm just saying I don't remember that.
I remember when they did that Iron Man of War video game. Remember that? It was a crossover, and my cousin thought it was the bee's knees. I'm like playing. I'm like, this game sucks. And I remember that's all he wanted to play. And I'm
speaking of video games, I've got the X Mutants Genesis game.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. That's very cool. That. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people always, ask about the X Mutants, but yeah, that was one of the things that that was part of the when Marvel bought Malibu, they got the entire library. So anything that Malibu owned. Now there are some things that were creator owned, things like Dinosaurs for Hire was owned by Tom Mason, wasn't owned by Malibu. So there were a lot of the creator owned titles that Malibu had published initially. Like Cat and Mouse and things like that. And those weren't part of the sale. Obviously, Malibu couldn't sell it because they didn't own it. But anything that Malibu owned became part of the Marvel library.
Yeah. I remember when Malibu had the Street Fighter series. We talked about that last time. Me and you talked. And I remember following it. But I remember thinking like, okay, so there's a couple of things I need to start the story with. I grew up in Detroit. Now, I grew up in the suburbs of Detroit, but if you walk, like she's always said, I grew up in a little neighborhood called Rosedale Park, which is pretty suburban, especially in the 80s, 90s. Well, if I walked about 3 blocks that way and around the corner, I could end up in Detroit proper.
Wow.
But there was a party store, and they had and there's a record store, and they had an arcade in there. And one of the standby arcade machines, mainstay arcade machines, was Street Fighter 2. And I learned that inner city people had a different way of talking about these characters. So Guile was not Guile, he was Gully. I never understood the pronunciation like Gully.
Sweet.
Dulcine. Oh yeah. Dulcine was Doslam. Chun-Li was Chang-Li. All the time, people, Chang-Li. But it was funny because in the Malibu book, her name was Chang-Li. I don't know if you guys ever look at that. There's when she's taking her hair down, Ryu calls it Chang-Li. And I'm like, what? So I'm like, wait a minute, maybe the names are being, maybe I'm pronouncing it incorrectly. But I remember that book, and I remember being glued to it and going to the spinner rack because I didn't understand books came out every Wednesday at this point. So I would look for the new Street Fighter, and I remember when the Ferret guest starred.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I know what's gonna happen. They're gonna make the ferret as Ken because Ken and the ferret look alike. And I remember that book, and I still have that book. I still have those books. So,
Very cool.
Yeah, and I know you said that Capcom basically called and said stop.
Yes. Yeah. And again, I wasn't involved with this, so I mean, I heard the stories, and I probably knew it at one point in time. I don't remember exactly why they were unhappy with something. I don't know, but yeah, they called to stop now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cut it out. You guys are.
Yeah.
Can you imagine how you work on the book? Hey, pencils down. Oh,
yeah, that's right. Pencils down.
Yeah.
Well, my good buddy Jeff Whiting lives up in Daytona, and we haven't in some time, obviously because of all the quarantines, but we traveled around to a lot of shows together the last couple of years, and Jeff did he did a lot of inking for me. He inked the Ferret, but he inked Street Fighter. And so that's one of the things that people often bring to him to get signed are these Street Fighter books.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's possible that I wonder if you guys when you do go to shows, people because I would like a Malibu Comics shirt. I want a shirt.
Oh yeah, a shirt. Yeah.
Malibu Comics.
Well, be a great reunion panel. Gosh.
So here's what. Yeah, they did. There's some videos floating around. They did a reunion panel. I think. My sweet daughter is listening.
Not biased at all.
Yeah.
Hello, Brittany.
Shoot, she distracted me, made me lose my train of thought. I love you, Brittany.
Panels.
Yeah, panels. Thank you. They did a Malibu. I think it was an Ultraverse panel in San Diego last year. I desperately wanted to be there, but it's really, as you guys know, it's really expensive to go to San Diego, and I just couldn't figure out how to go just for one stinking panel. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's pretty interesting that all that's happening. And I told somebody this the other day. I said, you know what? Here's the deal. You want to make a Malibu shirt? Just make one. And who's going to stop you?
Marvel, the mouse.
You know what? Here's the deal. You're right. Theoretically, that could happen. But I think you could make a Malibu shirt and the mouse wouldn't even know. The mouse would not even notice. Now, I'm not telling you to do anything illegal. Yeah. I would never suggest that you go do anything illegal. One of the things that bothers me tremendously are all the poster pirates that you see at conventions. And I don't know if you guys ever go there or not. I'm not trying to rub salt in any whatever, but that bothers me a lot because it's illegal, and so I wouldn't suggest doing that. But I think part of my thing about that is I don't think, I'm 99.9% sure they don't plan to do anything with any of that stuff. And so if you wanted to get you a T-shirt and put a big M on it and make you some for you and your friends, I don't think anybody would. I don't think you'd have any problems.
There you go, everybody. Roland and gets permission.
Yeah, you're like, are we recording this? Make sure you're recording, right? Because Roland said okay. That's not what I'm saying.
So when Marvel comes in, they gobble Malibu up. What is that, Lola? Oh, they gobble Malibu up. How long were you there at Marvel?
Let's see. That happened in '94. It was about 2 years.
Okay.
Year and a half maybe. Because the buyout happened in '94, and then they fired everybody in '96. And what happened? Are you familiar with the whole when they closed everything down?
No.
So what happened is because a lot of people think, oh well, they hated Malibu, so they shut everything down. Not the case, but what again, the industry was in a bad way. I mean, there were all kinds of companies shuttering their businesses. A lot of businesses went out in that time. And what happened is, so a new CEO had taken over at Marvel. Remember I said earlier it was all about business, right? Mm-hmm. A new CEO had taken over because the businesses were failing. They were losing money. And what happens when a new CEO comes into a company?
They want to make those changes. They want
to make changes. So what do? They kill Heroes World. They look at the comics section and they say, you gotta kill this and cut the fat. And so 400 people were fired in the span of 2 days at Marvel, and 200 of those were from Malibu. So it was again, it goes back. It was a corporate decision. We were numbers. We were numbers that were in the ledger, and it didn't make any sense for them to keep us. So they just said, kill the division and get rid of it.
Man, that's too bad.
Jason says, "What about Image Comics in Malibu?" What'd you say? Will? I'm sorry.
Before we answer that question, Eric has to get out of here.
Oh, Eric, get out of here. That's right. You're doing your drawing and quarter panel.
Yep, it's almost time for that, so I will
Eric.
say goodbye. And please follow me at Dreaded Dinosaur on all the social medias. And check out erichudson.com if you'd like to buy some prints or just check out my portfolio. Thanks easy.
Nice to meet you.
Take care, Eric.
You're rolling.
Bye, Eric.
Rolling, your microphone is doing that staticky thing again.
Oh, I'm plugging again.
Yep.
I'm plugging.
Did Eric spell get? He did. Get.
Yeah, he did.
Did Malibu did publish the first set of Image comics?
Is that better?
That's much better.
Okay.
Every couple minutes seems like you have to do that. I don't know
That's
what's
weird.
going on.
I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Yes, Malibu did publish the first about 10 months worth of Image comics. I'm not sure exactly what the question was about Malibu and Image specifically. Maybe if you have something specific to ask, but yeah, Malibu. I don't know I can't remember the exact term for it. Yeah, they did roll with Malibu. Yeah, and that's how I met a lot of the Image guys.
Got that buzzing again. Nope, there it goes.
Scoot back a little bit. Let's see.
You think it's because I'm too close to the mic?
No, it's. Yeah, I thought maybe it was like some type of interference, something, but no.
You might need to wiggle a wire.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me try some stuff.
Technical difficulties, a live TV.
Yeah.
Live videos.
What's our radio number right now?
Radio number right now, Randy. Thanks for asking. Hold on.
What's the radio number?
Our radio. Well, we're broadcasting on Indie Vault Radio right now as well. Right now, 12,604 people are listening on Indie Vault Radio. So we want to thank those Germany, Australia, France, the UK. I haven't seen you guys in a minute. What's up? And yeah,
we appreciate all of you, but Roland, your mic is really static.
I don't know what's going on.
Probably better off
he muted it. Okay,
not playing with it. Yeah.
He unplugged it earlier and then plugged it back in. It was crystal clear, and then maybe it could be his mic getting ready to fail him. We're gonna have to get him a Yeti.
Yeah, could be. See on a snowball?
Yeah, he's on the snowball.
No, I got blue.
Yeah, you have a snowball. Yeah. Unmute yourself.
Okay, is that better at all?
That is
much better.
Okay. I have no idea what's going on with it. So I apologize for the difficulties there.
No problem. It's your problems are incredibly light compared to our problems on this morning show.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah. This is Jason says it was more of a history of how Image started with Malibu. Just wondering how that fell into the timeline with the Marvel history you were saying.
Sure, yeah. So it was actually pretty cool the way Image ended up with Malibu because the Malibu publisher is the title was Dave Aldrich, and Dave had a relationship with Rob Liefeld going back to before Rob actually entered into the industry. Before Rob did Hawking It Up, right? Which I think was his first DC work. Rob had done some of his own stuff, and he and Dave had talked about doing with Malibu. So they had a relationship going back. And back then there was comic buyers guys got involved in the internet.
You're not just sorry, Roland. You're not just crackling now. You've got a slight echo.
Let me see something. Let me try something on this end too. I want to see one thing.
Yeah, it's kind of a grumble.
Yeah, let's see here. Let me see.
I could get rid of this microphone and just try to use my laptop.
We'll try that. Let's see if that works.
Pardon our technical difficulties as we.
He'll probably have to go into had to go in the settings and the
Okay,
cam mic.
that better at all?
Oh yes.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, you're great.
That's the microphone off my stupid laptop.
You know what? You're gonna have to call Logitech. That's who owns Blue. Call them. They're gonna have you tell them what's happening. If it's under warranty, they're gonna have you break it. They're gonna have you pull the USB part out, take a picture, then they'll send you a new one.
Wow.
So they did for me.
Yeah, but this is what I've been using.
Yeah.
You know, so
If it's starting to fail you,
that's
time for a new one.
Oh, anyway, so where was it? Dave Oldridge image. So what happened then is,
It sounds better.
yeah, sorry about that. So what happens then is the word gets around that these rock star artists are going to jump ship from Marvel and they're going to start their own thing. So Dave reaches out to Rob and says, hey, we're here if you guys need anything. And Rob says, thanks. They go and get all their 7 founders together and do a thing. And then they reach back out to Dave, basically come up with a deal. And I think that the official title, and don't quote me to this exactly, is something called like the publisher of record. So what happened is essentially the Image guys are like, look, we can make comic books, but we don't have the infrastructure. We don't have the distribution. We don't have the printing. You already have that in place, Malibu. So for a percentage of what we make, we want you to handle all of this while we get our house in order. And so what happened then is they did. I mean, they jumped right onto their books. Malibu solicited the Image comics for Image, dealt with the printer, dealt with distribution, dealt with all that. And that happened for about 10 months until Image was able to say, okay, we've hired people. We have our infrastructure in place. We're good to go. Thanks, Malibu. See you. That was probably, I don't know, 2 years before the Marvel thing. It's part of really what helped propel Malibu forward, because Malibu existed already as an independent publisher, and that's when the Protectors and Dinosaur Fire and all those were there. And then when the Image things came around, they sold so many copies, and it was this huge influx of cash for the company. And so they're like, okay, now what do? We have to come up with something. And so that's when they decided to come up with the Ultraverse, which was kind of a reaction to Image's reaction. Image was their sort of their pitch was kind of like Image is everything, right? Because there was a bunch of artists. They didn't know how to write. That's pretty clear if you read the first 12 issues of any of them, right? They did not know how to write. They could draw pretty pictures, and they look really good. But yeah, I dare you to read one and tell me it's good. I'll smack you. But so Malibu kind of said, what if we get a universe that's writer driven? And so Chris Ulm was kind of his baby. He kind of started reaching out to a bunch of industry writers at the time: Steve Englehart, Steve Gerber. He had science fiction writer Larry Niven involved with it. So he reached out to a bunch of known writers to build the world. And so the Ultraverse was kind of pushed as a story-driven universe rather than Image is everything.
Was Malibu always a comic book publisher?
Okay, what do you mean by all? Did it do something before Malibu?
Yeah, was it always? Was Malibu? Yeah, was it always, or was it?
To my knowledge, there was never anything before that. Now Malibu was became the umbrella because it used to be Eternity Comics, and it used to be Aircell Comics, and it used to be Adventure Comics. Those were the 3 imprints. Those started kind of individually as companies, and then as they began to unite and join forces, Malibu became the umbrella. And initially it was called Malibu Graphics. That was the umbrella company, but then it just changed to Malibu Comics.
I remember one of the most fascinating things I've heard about Aircell was they started off as a foam installation company, and the government canceled contracts.
Really?
Yeah, they were a foam installation company, and also credited with being the first publisher of Men in Black. Malibu bought Aircell, and then obviously the rest is history. They were a foam installation company, which history from Varian. How did that happen?
I did not know that.
I don't know. Maybe you're learning.
Yeah, I am not aware of that whatsoever. Yeah. I think Aircell initially was Barry Blair.
Yeah.
Who did Elf something.
Elf Lord, wasn't it?
Elf Lord, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cat and Mouse was actually initially published through Aircell, which
Was it?
Yeah, we did not, but that we submitted to Eternity, right? Because we didn't know the relationship between the labels at the time, and so we submitted it to Eternity. And when they told us it was going to be an Aircell book, we're like, no, the little elves. No, that's not. We don't want to be with the elves. We want to be with Eternity, you know. And they're like, well, we think this is going to be going to get you bigger numbers. And so, okay, well, if you think it's going to sell more, then yeah, we'll go be with the elves. And I met Barry several years later. Super, super nice guy. Yes, super nice. Not anything like what you would expect him to be, drawing those little elf guys.
I have this thing where I've been taking pictures with all of the Marvel editors I can come across.
Oh yeah,
and so yeah, I got a picture with Stan. I got a picture with Jim Shooter, and it was really funny because we've all heard about Jim Shooter. We've all heard that he was, he'll tear into your work and everything.
Yeah.
And I got a chance at Grand Rapids Comic-Con to ask Jim for a picture. He wasn't feeling well all weekend. To his credit, he was a complete delight. Yeah. Let me take a picture with him. But he's holding my portfolio. I said, Jim, could you just really give like you're tearing my portfolio while I'm sitting next to you like this? And so he did it. But after he says, "This is yours," I'm like, "Yeah, this is good stuff." And I'm telling you, I was on cloud nine the entire day. I'm like,
bet.
Jim Shooter said my stuff is good. Yeah, the whole weekend you couldn't tell me anything. We don't have that clip in here, but you couldn't tell me anything.
So you were feeling your Wheaties in, huh?
Oh man, I was. My chest was stuck out. My chest stuck out further than Lola's. It was great.
I think Marvel needs a Jim Shooter today. I understand that he catches a lot of gruff, and I never got to work with him. He was already gone by the time Marvel purchased us. I also got a chance to meet Jim Shooter in recent years, and at a show that was not very well attended. So I got a lot of time with him, and enjoyed the heck out of it. I loved his blog when he was doing it. I don't know if you're familiar with his blog. Fantastic. I look at all the stuff he writes, and I'm like, why is no one at Marvel reading your blog? They should be reading it and implementing all these things that you say.
He had a book of memos he had sent.
He had a portfolio portfolios filled with old memos.
Yeah.
Wow. And one of the best show in Grand Rapids here, and he took up 3-4 tables. With nothing but portfolio books filled with old drawings and memos.
Yeah,
wow. Old photos and memos. It was amazing.
Coolest memos in there was the one that said, it said, I know this is against company policy, but start making good comics immediately.
So you never got a pencil from or a memo from Jim Shooter that said pencils down, right?
No. He might tell you, what is this? Stop drawing immediately. But so tell us about Cat and Mouse, because you started that in the 90s. Now it's back.
Yep. Now it's back. I think I was saying this before you actually hit play, hit record before we went live. Is that it's one of those things that Cat and Mouse was from the 90s was me and Mitch Bird. Stephen Butler did some early work with us, and then he went on to his own stellar career. And it ran for 18 issues, so it was about 2 years, because we had tiny little gaps in a couple of them about midway in the run, so we could kind of catch up. But it's the series that I would go to shows, and even though I was doing other comics, fans would come up to me and say, "Hey, when you bringing back Cat and Mouse? Hey, when you bringing back Cat and Mouse?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I did this. This is my brand new thing right here. Why don't you try it out? I'm the same writer guy that wrote Cat and Mouse. Try this one out." And I just kept hearing it over and over and over again. And I really kind of put it for me. I'd kind of put it away. And a couple of years ago, I was working with my friend and super talented artist, Dean Zachary, who did the artwork for Ferret. He did some Nightman for me when I was editor there, and we were talking about doing some stuff. And we had started a creator-owned project that we were going to work on together. And he had even gotten a couple of pages into it, and just out of the blue, he says, "What about Cat and Mouse?" And of course, I'm like, "What about it?" He's like, "What would you want to do Cat and Mouse again?" And I'm like, "Hey, Dean, you're not one of these people too, right?" And he's like, "No. I'm saying that I think that I would be interested in drawing it." I'm like, "What the heck?" So, and I love Dean's work, right? So I'm like, all right. So we started talking, and one thing led to another, and I'm like, okay, well, it can't be the same cat and mouse from, because I don't, it can't be the same guys from 30 years ago, right? So I said, well, let's do this. We'll create 2 brand new characters. They'll be similar in spirit and tone to the original, but we'll have a lot of the same secondary characters, secondary people in the world. So there's a lot of familiarity to them. So we launched the new miniseries of Cat and Mouse last year, and had a successful crowdfunder for the first issue and the second issue, and we're a little more than maybe not quite halfway, or about at the halfway point for number 3.
Now,
So,
where can we go pick up issue 1 and 2?
those are obviously the best places for me at a convention.
Mm-hmm.
But since we're in quarantine, they are both available on Indie Planet.
Okay.
You can go to Indie Planet and get both of those, Cat Mouse 1 and Cat Mouse 2 there.
Okay.
And I'm working on an omnibus, because people sometimes ask me about the original series. So my plan is, when I kickstart number 4, which will be the final issue of the current miniseries, as I'm planning on having an omnibus available for anybody who wants to get the complete new miniseries and the complete old series.
Yeah. Does the old series does it end?
It ends.
And then,
It ends. It ends. It's final. There's a we knew it was coming. I knew it was coming, and so I was able to. Let's see how I can say this. I essentially took the two primary characters and shipped them out of country and had them in their arcs, and so they're done.
Okay. All right. See, was there anything left on the table that you, man, if I had another year, I would have liked to have done this, or?
Yeah. I mean, there were stories that I still wanted to tell with those characters, but I'm not one of these that says, "Oh, shucks," I just take those stories and retool them, and I'm going to use them for the new stuff.
Okay.
It won't be the same characters, and I'll have to do some finagling. Like I'm already working on the follow-up miniseries, the follow-up story to this miniseries, in which I'm going to dive into some voodoo.
Yeah,
because the story's set in New Orleans, and so how can I tell too many stories without touching on voodoo?
Yeah,
It seems like the theme for this year.
it does.
Yeah.
Everybody's got New Orleans story and voodoo. And let me tell you something. When I was a kid, and I don't know what movie it was, but it was about voodoo. And oh my God, it freaked me out as a kid. I didn't want to be, and my family, my mother's family's from the South, so I'm very. Oh man, I was freaked out for a good couple of months.
So that you call it hoodoo, then, right?
Yeah, no, it was voodoo.
A lot of Southerners call it hoodoo.
Yeah, my mother does. She calls it hoodoo, but I like, and they talk about.
Supposedly, there's a difference.
Is it
between the two?
Well, I'll tell you this.
Heard.
I'll tell you this. Apparently, if you put certain fluids into a man's shoe, he'll never walk out your life.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've done. I thought I had my book around here. I've got a book on the history of voodoo in New Orleans, and there's all kind of stuff. I mean, there's and the story that I've written touches on some of those elements of voodoo beliefs.
Nope. The book can't come in my house. Ouija boards can't come in my house. And it's funny. It's funny because I write a pretty dark comic, and I draw a pretty dark comic. But I'm the most terrified person. She'll tell you. I don't like werewolves. I don't watch werewolf movies. No, werewolf is there. Underworlds, I can watch that. But like werewolf movies, like The Howling, no sir. What else? Anything with Wendigo, like any type of Yeti, Snow Beast. I'm fascinated with the Mothman, but terrified at the same time. Like they'll be like, "Hey, here's 4 Mothman documentaries on Amazon." I'm like, I don't want to watch, but I can't watch.
I used to practice Wicca.
Yeah. See, nope, none of that. I've gotten rid of all her Wiccan stuff. Like, no, we're gonna take all this here and we're gonna donate it to the vets. They can take all that stuff. I don't have no parts of it. So the new Cat and Mouse, they are disconnected characters. They're not Do they have anything to do with the other characters? Somewhat, maybe a small relative. No.
No. The secondary cast does. One of the secondary characters in the first series was a character called the Demon, and he was a veterinarian, which is how he accidentally meets a mouse. In the first series, Mouse gets shot, and as you have to report all bullet wounds, so they elect to go to a veterinarian and not a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how he gets caught up with them. Well, he is around in the second miniseries. He's changed because New Orleans has changed considerably because of the hurricane, and so he is living in a different life when they meet him in this series. And I'm probably going to do Paul Pelletier and I did a Demon miniseries of the character in the '90s after Cat and Mouse, and the new artist who's working on Cat and Mouse now, Alex Gallimore, who's a Kubert School graduate. He has taken a shine to Demon, and so we're going to do a second Demon miniseries after this Cat and Mouse miniseries, in which we're going to update Demon. But when we meet Demon in this Cat and Mouse series, he's homeless, and thanks to the hurricane.
I like the fact that you age your characters. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, we're not going to call it Katrina. We're not going to call it that, but we're just going to say the hurricane.
Yeah.
And who knows, whatever anybody wants to imagine. New Orleans is always getting storms like that, so we're just going to call it the hurricane, and we'll figure it out.
I like the fact that you age your characters. I think Randy, you were a supporter of aging characters, weren't you?
Who? What?
Were you a supporter of aging characters? Letting characters age naturally?
Yeah.
Or was that? Yeah. Because I know that there are a lot of people who say that characters should age. Spider-Man should be retired and should be passing the mantle on to Miles now, or for new stories. Here's the problem. I'm nostalgic. I'm like, because if that happens, and the Ninja Turtles are now 40-year-old men jumping around. However,
I hate to break that to you, but the Ninja Turtles are 40-year-old men jumping around.
They sure are.
I'd also like to. You notice they never had in the animated series. Because again watching the animated series, there seems to be some confusion on how tall they are. Like at certain points they're under April's belt, and at other points they're right up next to her. Yeah. It's pretty weird, but I'm also now just getting to the point where, like Frank Miller, I don't know if I can sanction an existence where I'm older than Batman.
Yeah,
I don't know. So I'm like, maybe it's time to age him on out and get a new character in there, because I'm older than Batman. I'm older than Bruce Wayne. Let Bruce Wayne get about 60.
What?
You know what?
I said you are
Well, what?
older?
I don't know. I'm not older than 60, but no. But Batman's probably. They're I remember reading a Batman comic, a recent one. He was like, "Wait a minute, I'm apparently this age. My heart rate says I'm a man in his mid-30s." I'm like, "Bullshit! You in your mid-30s? Bullshit." I'm 37. There's no way you're in your mid-30s now. Me and Batman aren't the same age. It's impossible. No.
Yeah, I guess I had always kind of envisioned Batman as Bruce Wayne as a 35-year-old man.
See, he can't be older than me. He can't be younger than me. He cannot. I can't. No. I can't co-sign on that. He's got to be. Bruce Wayne's got to be 42 now. I can deal with that. I can live with that. As long as he's older than me. At first, Bart Simpson got younger than me, and I'm like, wait a minute, me and Bart used to be the same age. What the hell happened? Now,
I hate to tell you this, Varian, but the clock ain't gonna stop for you, man.
Yeah, it just keeps ticking on.
That's right.
Yeah. Sometimes I have to remember. I gotta play the clip. I gotta remember.
Okay, they're talking about fictional characters. Fictional characters. Am I getting through to you at all?
That's right. Yep.
One of my favorite runs growing up was All-Star Comics that was done on Earth 2, where they aged Batman and Superman. And I thought that was one of the most intelligent comics that was out at the time.
Was that Roy Thomas?
I I am not sure. I remember it being Joe Staten. I think
Okay.
it's where Bob Layton started inking too, if I'm not
Oh
mistaken.
wow! I think I'm not going to swear to it, but I think that might have been Roy Thomas. You know, he didn't do a whole lot for DC, but because most of his stuff was at Marvel. But I think that's Roy Thomas. Again, don't hold me to it.
Oh, I'm trying to think. Oh, here, I can tell you. Give me just a second.
Rolling besides Cat and Mouse, anything new? Anything else new?
Yeah, I am working. Okay, so you got to hear this one out before you jump on me. Okay, I am working on a book called Trumps.
Cut him. I'm just kidding now.
What, say again?
He said Trump. Cut him. I'm just kidding now.
I didn't. Okay, I didn't say Trump. I said Trumps with an S. And so I'm keeping this handy as a visual aid here. And I guess now that I'm learning that you're on the radio, no one can see what I'm actually holding up is a box of playing cards. And it's inspired by my family plays a lot of cards. When we get together during Christmas and holidays and things like that, we play a lot of cards, right? And so it's kind of inspired through my playing of some of these cards. And so Trumps is a science fiction world in which there are 4 kingdoms, and each of the kingdoms are based off of a suit in a deck of cards. So you have the kingdom of clubs, the kingdom of hearts, the kingdom of spades, and the kingdom of diamonds. And as you might imagine, they're at war. And there's a lot of political intrigue. There's some underhandedness between one to the other. And I use a lot of card terminology. They live on the deck, and time is measured in hands. If you play a hand of cards, right, time is measured in hands, and occasionally we get the world gets a nasty shuffle, and so I use a lot of cards. Yeah, so I have to explain that because you say Trump's. Why are you writing a comic about the president? I'm like, number one, it's a free world, and if I want to write a comic about the president, I will. But this has nothing to do with the president. This is all about I'm inspired by playing cards, and so. If you like, if I can remember after this, I'll send you over a couple of sneak peek images. The artwork is beautiful. Oh my gosh, it is just looking fantastic, and I am super excited about that. I am hoping that will be ready for us to crowdfund in early fall.
Okay.
So
we'll keep our eye out for that one. That sounds like it's going to be pretty cool.
I'm gonna crowdfund it up.
Oh, you guys, where's it going to crowdfund?
Yeah. What platform?
Probably Kickstarter. Everybody's telling me to go to Indiegogo, and I've never done anything on Indiegogo, so it's not that I'm opposed to it. It's just that it's a platform that I'm not that familiar with. So I'm probably gonna maybe in the current, I got the current Kickstarter right now for Divinity and Twilight Grim that's running. When this is done, I may go ahead, and sometimes they offer you the opportunity to go in demand. So I may go with that and in demand and see if I can learn a little bit about Indiegogo from there. But yeah, so like I said, I've backed some projects on Indiegogo. It's just that I'm not real familiar with the platform, and Kickstarter still has a bigger audience, a bigger comic book audience, and so I don't know. It's just one of those things that, I know Indiegogo is there, and I don't know,
I just wonder if they're going to be. Kickstarter had some financial troubles recently.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, they laid off a ton of people. Oh,
I did see that they laid off people.
What you got there? Randy?
All Star Comics. Who wrote it?
It was mostly Gary Conway and Paul Levitz.
Oh, okay. All right.
I don't like the fact that Randy can go pull books. I don't think I like that.
I never know what's behind the curtain.
That's right.
I don't like the fact that Randy can just get up and walk, and I can't. I can't walk right now. I'm going to be between the sofa and this chair, maybe.
Take care of them legs so that you can keep walking, buddy.
That's right.
Yeah, it's a real.
Taking care of them.
Yeah, it's going to be. They told me to stay off of it. And I'm like, but I have to use the bathroom to stay off of it. And I remember what happened last time they told me to stay off of it. I'm like, but I like to do things. Too bad. And so it's going to be very interesting to see what happens.
Well, luckily you're stuck in your house, at least for the next 2 weeks. So.
Yeah, really. You don't have a choice.
You
might as well get used to it.
Bother him.
You said what?
Doesn't get depressed.
Oh, message me, bother me. Yeah, I won't get too depressed. I've got I've got alcohol. No, I can't drink.
And I heard you earlier say you got a great big stack of comics to read.
Yeah,
There you go.
I got a lot of comics to read. If the books are bad, I can just tear the pages out and wrap them around my leg.
Yep.
I got books.
Draw on the couch.
Yeah, I can draw on the sofa. I can do a lot of stuff. It is. I am in pain. Like I'm in pain right now. Can't wait to dose up a medication. But it is. It's one of the things that for me, it's at least I knew it was coming. I felt it, and I'm like, oh, I think this is happening, and it was too late. By the time you feel it happening, it's too late. You gotta let it run its course, and
Well, if you had that other one below your stomach for a while, you were probably susceptible to it then.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was MRSA all this time, and I didn't know what the interesting thing now was. They have to make sure it's not in my bloodstream because that's when you get.
That's when you run into trouble. Yeah.
Yeah. That's when you start, contemplating.
You won't know that for a couple days.
Yeah, I won't know for a couple days, but for now, I feel okay. I have lost my appetite. My temperature did go up, but we'll see how that works. I mean,
if that's in your bloodstream, then they're going to call you in, tell you to
go to the hospital.
Yeah.
But I'm not going because
well, you need to go.
There's corona at the hospital. No. There's corona at the hospital. There's corona at the party store. Which one am I going to go for?
Just put your mask on, and take you a 6-foot stick to keep people out of your way.
There you go.
Somebody sneezes, you whack them with the stick, right?
Yeah,
I've been using my cane as a.
There you go. Yeah.
Everybody's got a mask on for a reason, so if they sneeze, it goes right into the mask. So.
Yeah.
I've got a. My mom made me a nice mask. I guess it's in my bedroom. I'm an Arkansas Razorback fan, and so it's got Arkansas Razorbacks on my mask when I walk around.
Roland, I want to thank you for coming on Geek Gasm. Lola,
I really appreciate it.
Absolutely, I really appreciate you guys hanging with me, and I was really quick to tell you because you reached out to me before, and I'm like, I can't do Tuesdays and Wednesdays. I'm so sorry. No, I want to come on, but I can't do those days, and because
yeah, she was determined.
Well, good. I'm glad because I was absolutely looking forward to it, but for the last 6 years. I have a Tuesday night class at 9 p.m. and that's just, I like that because I absolutely know when they used to kind of jump you around. So 1 month I'd be Tuesday, 1 month I'd be Wednesday, 1 month I'd be Thursday. And that's difficult to make any kind of, particularly when you have kids, right? My kids were younger then and it was difficult to make planning to go to school events and stuff like that. And I finally just said, look, can you just give me one day so that I can make plans to go to be at my kids' ball games and band concerts and things like that. Just you pick the day, and they're like, what day do you want? I'm like, well, I would love Tuesday if I've got to have a day. And so they gave me Tuesday, and I'm super thankful that it doesn't bounce around. It's always Tuesday, always 9 p.m. And so I'm thankful for that, but it does mean that I can never do anything on Tuesday nights.
So are you still holding classes in these times?
Yes. Now we're not on campus, but we are still having classes. Everything has been shifted online.
You're running them virtual then?
Yes.
Yeah. That's cool.
And it's actually harder to run everything virtual because when I'm in the classroom, if I give some instructions, if I've got a dozen students, one of them can ask a question and they all hear the answer. Right. When you're online, I get 12 different emails that all ask the same question. I'm like, if we were in class, I could have answered this one time, but I've got to email every single one of them individually. So
there's no way to do like a group discussion or anything.
Yeah, I do. I do a lot of that, and I'm trying to push more and more of that in that direction. Because it's new. A lot of this is new to a lot of our students, and so I'm trying to do more of that. Yeah. But it's a slow change, and I just got the message earlier today that apparently we're going to do this one more month in June, and then they're planning to go back to campus in July. So,
hopefully, if everything goes right, knock on wood.
Fingers crossed.
I almost forgot. Lola had her own medical crisis this morning. Started yesterday.
They can't hear you.
Oh, you can't hear me?
You're muted.
No.
No,
she had her
was-
own
she
medical
was doing-
crisis.
Yeah.
She thought that she kept saying, "Look, there's a bone sticking up. I think my arm." I'm like, "That's not a bone. That's not a bone." But what it is it's a what is it? A
Ganglion.
ganglion something.
It's a ganglion cyst.
Ganglion cyst.
Ouch.
And they form about here. No one knows why, but they form here. They fill full of fluid, and they used to call them Bible cyst because back in the old days, someone would take a heavy book like a Bible and hit it.
Ow.
To make it, so
They do what? Pop it?
Yeah, they're called Bible cyst. And
Oh.
so
You see that bump right there?
Yeah.
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 That's your Wolverine blade growing.
Yeah. So Varian, did you take a Bible and whack it?
No, I offered. I got
He doesn't have that kind of spiritual literature in the house. It scares him.
I think we're gonna go get an ultrasound to see how big it is.
Yeah. And she has.
And then they're probably gonna take a needle.
Yeah,
See
they got,
if there was any adamantium in there.
yeah.
Yeah.
They're gonna. They said we can drain it, but we want to make sure we want to go in there and do an ultrasound.
We got to make sure what it is first.
That's right. Yeah.
Let's
But,
take a look.
Just
Holy
hope
crap!
they don't pull out some worm, right?
Yeah.
So it was really cool because at first I was going to have to go to the doctor by myself this morning, but then Lola had to go, so we got a chance to go together to the doctor and sit in the empty waiting room like this, 6 feet apart. 6 feet apart. I'm like, I know her. Like, nope, 6 feet apart.
Oh, they made the two of you sit 6 feet apart too.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
That's a little bit silly.
They didn't believe you were together. No, I'm just kidding. No, when we went to get our antibody test, they did the same thing with us. She had to be all the way across the room.
Really? That doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Now they're just trying to follow protocols that are
Yeah.
ridiculous anyway.
You're like, we're gonna go home and swap spit. So, what's the? Yeah, I don't know.
Sorry, everyone has to watch me wrap this back up.
Yeah, yeah.
Do it.
But
They
yeah,
don't want
Play
me-
that stripper music in reverse.
put it on. We yeah.
Put it on.
I said, I got a phone book. We can do this now. I got a phone book. No. I'm like, all right. I wonder how many broken fingers they had after that though.
Yeah.
He traded the
That's
system.
actually in my paperwork.
Yeah.
It says, "Do not follow the folklore."
Never follow the folklore. Never follow the folklore.
Yeah.
Now without a doctor's okay.
So yeah, Roland, where can they find you at? Oh, I'm sorry, Randy. Go ahead.
But if Dr. Pimple Popper knocks on your door, let her ring.
Oh, don't watch those videos.
Girl.
Yeah.
Roland, where can they find you at online?
I am on Facebook. I'm really easy to find on Facebook. I am Roland Man. You'll see my caricature that looks actually, oddly enough, just like me. I am rarely on Twitter, but I am there at Man Roland. Facebook is the best place to get me. I'm on all the social medias. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Instagram. But yeah, those are probably the best places. Or Silverline Comics. You can find me tooling around a lot of the Silverline comic sites. Silverline, www.silverlinecomics.com is our website, and we post there weekly a lot of news. Obviously, what we've been talking about this past week and for the next couple of weeks is the double feature Kickstarter that we have going on. So we're going to try to get that funded. And what I will add, I know we talked about some crowdfunders earlier, is that Silverline's policy for the Kickstarters or crowdfunders, any of them, whatever we do, is that we make sure our books are finished before we go to the crowdfunding. Because, we have heard so many people say, I backed this project, where's my book? A year later, 2 years later, and we have heard that fans are very upset about that. So a decision we just made early on is like, you know what, we're going to be finished by the time we crowdfund. So 2 months ago, we ran a Kickstarter for Kalis #2. We just finished fulfillment for that. Thank you. Yep, that's the Kickstarter there. And these books are finished. The only thing, once the campaign is done, I will have to send out surveys to get all the names for the thank you page. And so I'll have to finish the thank you page. And then once I'm done with that, I send that to the printer and we can print and ship.
That's cool.
So
Sweet. Yeah.
I like that. And it's funny. I was looking for another campaign. I was looking for like just the Divinity campaign or the Twilight
Oh.
Grim campaign. Then I realized, oh no, they are together. You can
Yes.
buy one book,
Yeah.
or you can buy one, or you can buy them both, which it makes sense to buy both of them.
It does. Yeah, it's a better deal.
And if any of our listeners are interested in knowing more about that, it's pop up on that Kickstarter campaign, or and also listen to our Tuesday night podcast that we just had on. We had Barb and Rob on,
That's right.
both of them talking about the campaign and the book.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sweet.
And I had Barb on one of my shows.
Yeah, Barb was on Geek Gasm before
Yes.
that. Yeah, so yeah.
Last week.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah,
So
good people.
Yes.
Yeah. It's really cool to have you guys on. Silverline's doing a lot of cool work. I know it's too
Thank
early
you.
to maybe say, but any cons still in the foreseeable future for Silverline? Or
I've got one con still on the schedule that hasn't been canceled yet, and that is the Daytona Beach Comic Con that is in October. It has not been canceled yet. Crossing the fingers and hoping it doesn't.
Yeah.
And I was in talks with Comic Conway, which is in Conway, Arkansas, but we stopped our conversation because all the quarantine stuff happened.
Yeah, exactly.
And they basically said, "Hey, let's wait till all this is over, and then we can resume our conversation." That one's in November, so I'm hoping. I was there 2 years ago. Fantastic show in Arkansas, and so I'm hoping that we get to work things out and everything gets reopened, and I'll be there. I'd love to do some shows up your way. I've never ever done shows in Michigan or Indiana, or I'm from the South, so all that's up there to me, right?
Yeah.
Iowa,
No, we know what you mean.
Yeah, Ohio. I've never done shows up that way, so I would love to. I was slated to do Pittsburgh in May, which I think would have been next week, but they canceled that one. But they actually did give me the automatic invite for 2021, so I will be in Pittsburgh in some weekend in May in next year. So
cool.
Yeah,
we'll try. I'll try to make it out there. Normally we have Motor City Comic Con would have been this weekend. In fact, we would have been setting up probably tonight or tomorrow.
Yeah, Thursday night.
Yeah, Thursday night setup. I'm kind of I thought about driving out there.
Because of what you're going through.
Yeah, what I'm going through with the Mercer, but you know what? I would have went, and she wouldn't have stopped me. I would have been out there limping. Because the first time I had Mercer, I was at a con. I didn't know it, and I'm like, I get a email from the doctor, and it's like, yeah, you have Mercer, and I'm like, how many people are infected? Because it's well, they would have to be in touch with my leg. They'd have to touch my leg,
touch the wound. Yeah,
I
have to have some sort of transfer.
Yeah. I do always laugh when I hear a guy say about his sweetheart, I was going to do this and she wouldn't stop me. I'm like, yeah, right. Yeah, you talk tough online. I hear you.
Well, there are times that I know that she's gonna stop me, and I'm like, she couldn't stop me from this, and then I do it, and I'm like, she stopped me, fellas. Yeah. When she's injured, I try to stop her. She went to work for the day after getting, was it your appendix removed?
Yep.
Yeah, they had to get it.
Wow.
Yeah. She broke her ankle. She went to work. So yeah, she went to work the next day. She's cooking. Now me.
I went to a con with a broken thumb.
Yeah. Now me, I get a sneeze, a sniffle. I'm gonna go lay on the sofa and die. Randy, where can they find you at, sir?
You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Twitter every once in a while under Randy Zim. Other than that, you can find me at the Zim Geek channel. That's ZIMMGEEK here on YouTube, or of course here on Indie Volt Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. Or Thursday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Or you never know when I'll pop up on Indie Volt. Whenever I'm invited. So
yeah, Randy pops in on Geek Gasm. He popped in on Art of War last week.
I think Larry was talking about me, so I had to come back on.
To critique the judges, the artist.
Had to defend yourself, right?
Yeah. And of course, you can find me at Indie Volt, Varian Grant, KYD_V on Twitter. Last Call Comics, all those good places. I'm everywhere. Lola, where can I find you at?
It's everywhere. He's everywhere.
Yeah.
Pretty much the same places as you.
Comics, Indie Vault, Geek Gasm, and I just set up a Facebook page. Look me up on the Indie Princess, and I will be making a Twitter soon.
And the Indie Princess is INDI.
It is.
Okay, so Indie Princess.
Just like you see it on the screen now.
Well, yeah, for the radio people who can't listen, I want to make everybody who listen on the radio right now.
Turn your mic on first. Turn your mic on first.
Yeah. Oh, the Indie Princess is actually live.
Yeah.
Oh, with us.
Yeah. I want to thank everybody for listening in. It's if you're watching or listening on the Indie Vote Radio, we appreciate that. All right now, Indie Vote Radio, our lead numbers are pretty high. Thank God. There's 17,810 people listening.
Awesome.
Shift Lewis,
Wow.
hello, Shift Lewis. So yeah, I want to thank everybody for listening on Indie Vote Radio. Listen, check it out.
We appreciate all of you.
Download Indie Vote
absolutely.
Radio on Google Play, or if you have an Apple phone, you can download the Streamer app and look up Indie Vote Radio. Also, check out Indie Vote TV on Roku, absolutely free. I'll put this show up there probably tomorrow. I've been adding a lot of stuff lately, so check that out. It's free, only on Roku. Coming very soon, though, to Amazon Fire Stick. That's gonna do it for us here today, guys.
And before we go though,
Mhm.
Roland, is Cat and Mouse running right now, or are you getting close to doing a campaign for it? Or
I'm hoping to do a campaign for number 3 in the next couple of months. Yes, it's not running right now. You can get 1 and 2 on Indie Planet, but I am hoping to run planning to run a campaign here in the next couple of months for the 3rd issue. And of course, you'll be able to get 1 and 2 if you missed it.
and,
Yeah, and
does Silverline have a website?
www.silverlinecomics.com.
I'll link all that in the description. I think I did it on the last video too. So
Yeah.
I'll link all that in the description. People can go pick it up and check out Cat and Mouse, because I'm gonna probably order myself a copy of it. Just so I know. We need an omnibus though. Gotta get that.
Oh yeah, I'm working on it. On it.
Yeah,
Those are always fun to read.
work harder, work fast.
Even if you already own the comics, they're still fun to read and have.
Yeah.
So
I'll get my buddy Jim Shooter to give him a call. Tell him faster now.
there you go.
Yeah.
This is actually one of my mock-ups for the omnibus cover. Actually,
There we go.
I think
We're seeing some exclusive stuff here.
Exclusive stuff.
Yeah, it is actually. I don't think I've shown anyone this yet.
Advanced exclusive. Right
Yeah.
here. Indie Vote.
So yeah, I've got a couple of different ideas for the omnibus cover, and that's one of them. So
Okay.
Cool.
All right. Thank you for joining us, everybody. We will see everybody
Thank
back here. I'll see everybody. Maybe it'll be me tomorrow. Art of War, 9:00 here on Indie Vote. On Indie Vote's YouTube.
Yeah.
Maybe the show. will
you'll
be
be
on. I don't know if I'll be here, but the show will go on.
The show always goes on.
that's right.
I'm gonna roll the outro, and I'll see you guys a little bit later.
Thanks so much for being here, everybody.
Yeah.
Appreciate
Thank you guys
all
for
of you.
having me. Yeah.
Anytime. Thanks for coming on, Roland.